Enterprise and Services Subcommittee in the new election year. Really just to welcome everyone to this committee, but also particularly to any new members as well of the council that were elected in May. I think this is one of the last committees to meet, so welcome everyone. You may be aware as well, this is a subcommittee of EEI, so there's no minutes. Those minutes are approved by the parent committee. So if I could just take Sederunt and apologies, Claire.
Thank you, Chairman. We have 9 members present this afternoon. Councillor Martin and Councillor Hagman, apologies.
Okay. Just to remind everyone as well that this meeting will be recorded and the recording will be subsequently be available for public listening. And could everyone switch off their mobile phones, etc.? Okay, declarations of interest. Okay, move on to item 3, which is the Enterprising Service Monitoring Report 2017-18 for the period ending the 31st of July 2017. The report provides analysis of the budget monitoring associated with enterprising services for the current financial year based on the position as at 31st of July 2017. And this is both for trading and budgeted services. The enterprising services monitoring was included in the monitoring report which was presented to the EEI committee on last Tuesday, the 12th of September. The Head of Service and Finance Officer, Caroline Quiston, and the management team will address any questions members have. Ronnie, as Head of Service, do you have anything to add to the report?
No, Chair. I'm happy to take any questions the members may have.
Questions, members? Rose?
On page 2, I was just looking at the 4.1.4, and it was saying, unfortunately, due to the challenging economic climate, the opportunities had failed to materialise, and I'm just interested to know what happens about that. What's the next step? And just not materialising, I wasn't quite sure I understood that.
Ronnie?
Thanks, Chair. Through you, Chair, yes. When work doesn't materialise, obviously this tends to be through tendering or trading activities where we've bid for work and work hasn't came through, or the volume of work that had been anticipated as part of the initial financial assessment from a contract has not been coming through from a client. So what happens next is we continue to aspire to seek out other business and other work that may bridge that gap, and that is ongoing at this time. So we're looking at what work is out there. It's a very competitive and dynamic market, particularly across Dumfries and Galloway. We're looking at the works that we have from Scotland Transerve that we do with them, looking at what further business may be coming forth with them, with their spend profile from Transport Scotland, and looking at what else that we can tender for to bridge these gaps. So this will be an ongoing process throughout this year to allow us to hopefully meet these targets and exceed them. Thank you.
Archie?
Thanks, Ian. Welcome to the chair. It's an interesting one, I can tell you. The 4.2.4 is about the return of break-even position within the print unit, and I thought that would have been an opportunity to seek further commercialism, if you like, within the council. And I'm wondering, obviously, the next report's a commercial development plan, and I'm wondering if there's anything happening in the meantime to try and sell that. I see, for instance, in education they're being used more, but I'm wondering if there's any other departments within the council that can use the print unit more.
Right.
Again, Chair, we'll pick up some of this detail, particularly in the next report about the commercial development plan and opportunities. So rather than steal the thunder from that report, if you're agreeable, Chair, we can pick that point up under the next report.
Happy with that, Archie? Okay, Jim?
Thanks, Chair. I note in 4.1.4 it says that construction opportunities have failed to materialise. What is the position with regard to reinstatement work? Has there been any expansion of that?
Through you again, Chair. Yes, that continues to develop. That we are one of the authorities, probably the sole authority in the country that has reinstatement contracts with all the utilities to allow reinstatements. And again, that is a market that we are looking to develop with as we go on through and expand that business. So yes, we are carrying out reinstatements with the utilities, but again, it's something we're looking to increase the availability and hopefully meet the demands of our clients.
Graham?
Thanks, Chair. In Appendix 1, if you look at the top of the Appendix 1 there, if you look at the last column, trading services, income received to date, and this was the 31st of July, was minus £723,000, 919. Income due for work already completed, 10.89 million. Now, we're not a bank, so who are we financing? By lying out of £10.89 million. And if you add the 723,000 on, which is a minus sum, you're at 11.5 million, 11.6. Why are we allowing this to happen?
I'll hand you back, Caroline.
Thank you, Chair. Remember, this is not just external income, it's internal income. So some of this income is actually outlaying to ourselves. So in effect, it's an internal. That accounts for the vast majority of the vehicle maintenance and the building cleaning elements. It's just that they weren't processed at this date. They are now processed. Externally, as you can see, we do have a large outstanding bill with Transserve. There was some issues with regard to getting that paid. That is now down. That has now been paid, but it just took a bit longer, and there was quite a lot outstanding from last year. Unfortunately, we're a bit in the hands of Transserve because they're the ones that are paying us, and sometimes we have discussions, let's say, between themselves and our own managers as to exactly when the payments are made. So that's the main external one. The rest of them the bulk of it's internal.
Wish to come back, Graham?
Yeah, I wish to come back. Sorry. Radio maintenance, £7,867 of income received, 121,000 not received. Now, who are we? Is this internal or is this external? And what proportion is the internal? What proportion is the external?
Thank you, Chair. Sorry, that is the other one where there is a large outstanding amount. This is because of delays in the legal process with regard to renegotiating the contracts. They've been held up. The lawyers have got hold of them, and at the moment there is the process is ongoing. Most of that income is external. That's the one that is external. I'm not too sure exactly what the position is. I think we're still waiting for the final deals to be set, and obviously until that happens, they're not preparing to pay us. There shouldn't be any problem. They're on these. They're actually using the sites and on them. It's a case of just dotting the I's and crossing the T's as far as the final bills are concerned. The negotiation of these hillside contracts seems to be very complex, and it's a variety of telecoms companies that are part of that.
I'll bring head of service in as well, Ronnie.
Thank you, Chair. As Caroline states, this is part of a process that we have various hilltop sites across Dumfries and Galloway. Some of these sites have numerous telecommunication companies utilising them. There is also the legal agreements tied up not only with them renting space within those masts, but also in relation to the terms of reference for being on the ground that they have and the factors that manage these pieces of land. So it has been a protracted process this year, and that has resulted in a delay, but that is being progressed between ourselves and our colleagues in legal services to proceed with this as timely as possible.
Do you want to come back on that, Graham? Yeah, go on.
Yeah, and just, I mean, I'm on the same appendix, actually. I can appreciate that once the legal department, not this particular legal department, any legal department gets involved in things, it becomes complicated and time-consuming. But when I go further down that page, I come to the building cleaning, building maintenance, etc., 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 and we're looking at between 1.5% and 2% profit margin on those lines, right? I mean, building cleaning 2%, building maintenance 1.5%, roads maintenance 1.6%, and total average is 1.78%. I find that quite alarming, that there's not a lot of room there for contingencies. In fact, there's little or no room for contingencies, and that really gives me cause for serious concern.
Alan, do you want maybe to comment on that, or Ronnie, do you?
Chair, I think what we're looking at here is obviously the figures that the vast majority of this business is internal council business. So there is a small percentage of return associated with the internal processes. There is the external business activity has a different financial position on each contractual arrangement that we have with external parties. But the percentages you have here are highlighting as we are at July, but takes into account the vast majority of the business on here is internal to the council at this time. So it's not showing huge profits, as you said, in relation to the activities of our own council activity. It's a small return to allow the service to invest.
Before we bring Malcolm, is it maybe with members as well? I know that on the next item as well, we're going to be looking at the commercial development plan. It's maybe for the members of this sub that we maybe have a session, just to bring us up to speed with the way the enterprising DG operates, etc., and the demands, etc. So it's maybe worthwhile, and it all depends on item 4, but I think it'd be worthwhile if we actually, all the members and maybe members of the council, got a better understanding of the relationship between enterprising DG and the rest of the council.
Just to come back very briefly, I think that would be a good idea, Chair, and I think that should be held in private. And we may be able to get more information from the head of service as to what is the commercial side of it and what is the internal side, and that would be much appreciated.
I think as well, I think I'm thinking about it as well, if you look into the report as well, it's about actually internally within the council is raising the profile and the remit of enterprise and DG. So I think that maybe should be extended to all members of the council for a private session, just so that it gives you the opportunity, maybe about Cargan Bridge and the lecture theatre, to actually do that. Malcolm, you think?
Thank you, Chair. It was actually just I'm actually, unfortunately for my son's an accountant to trade, and I kind of like poring over a lot of these numbers, and when I see terms like direct costs, indirect costs, I know what I mean by that. I would just maybe like a wee bit of clarity on what is meant by that in this particular document. Again, it's on Appendix 1. I get very suspicious, for want of a better word, about overhead allocation and things like that, and I would appreciate a bit of clarity on exactly what's involved in this. And another wee quick figure that I think would actually be quite helpful for everyone is just a simple percentage split between what's internal and external work. I think that would be quite a good figure to have.
That sounds like a sensible idea. I'll just hand you over to Caroline, maybe to comment on both those points.
Certainly, we can put in the internal-external income split. It was more a matter of space as opposed to the layout. Direct costs, what I've included in there is basically staff, direct materials, subcontractors, the main variable items. Indirect tends to be the kind of associated management costs within each section, plus any incidentals. The overheads, basically, primarily that is the capital financing and the central support costs that are attributed to each of the sections. Unlike within the council accounts, the general fund accounts, which exclude those items, within here, within the trading account, they are actually allocated. And I wanted to keep them separate from the direct the costs of running the department, because in effect they're imposed on Enterprising DG from the centre, and so that sum in effect is our contribution, is EDG's contribution to the central running costs, and wouldn't appear if they didn't exist. But I think probably if we have a private section, we could go into more detail about it.
I think that'd be wise. Malcolm, do you want to come up?
Thank you for that. I'm pleased to hear you are including the finance costs in the overheads, because that's always been a bit of a concern. With capital expenditure, or maybe this is maybe a wee bit too detailed for this, I was curious to see over what period do you amortise capital expenditure?
It rather depends on the asset, obviously. As far as I know, although quite honestly, it's an interesting thing because there's a great divide between revenue accountants and capital accountants in the council, and we don't. Well, we do speak to each other, but not in great deal of detail. Usually, plant is over 5 or 6 years, and vehicles, property is over 30 years. But again, I can get you the details of exactly.
That'll be a general principle across the council as well, is it? Yeah.
Sorry, Chair, that those are standard across the whole of the council. It is only the presentation that's different, not the calculations.
David?
Thank you, Chair. As I understand it, Enterprise Services is an arm of the council which can bid for contracts within the council and external to the council. I would like to know how the public should have confidence in a procedure whereby one part of the council is bidding for a contract within the council. How can that be an arm's length transaction?
We'd like that one.
We're not arm's length to the council. We are intrinsically linked. We are a wholehearted part of the council. We're not an LLP or anything like that. Enterprising Service is fully part of the council, embedded within the council to deliver services. Our internal activities and our external activities are intrinsically different. The external activity, we will bid for these activities in a commercial environment to ensure that we are not exposing the council to any risk, or to mitigate risk as far as is possible, to ensure that we can create return to our council that meets the core values, which is about supporting the local economy and increasing and working with our partners of the SMEs across our region. So we tender in a very proactive approach to ensure that we're doing that right, and that we're not making any inappropriate risks that the council cannot to manage. And that's how we've always operated. We do not wish to expose the council to risk, and we will always ensure that any contract we go into has a marked return that will allow us to grow and expand from that position. The internal activities, that again, we'll be picking a lot of this up as part of the commercial development plan in the following report. It's about maximising what we can do for the council to ensure best value and added value so that as much stays within the boundaries of Dumfries and Galloway, whether that's through the council or utilising local contractors to deliver those activities that are not part of the trading environment. So it is ensuring at the end of the day it is best value for this council.
David, or you want to come back?
Yeah, I'm not sure that was actually an answer to my question. My question was how is, if I was a outside business, how I could be sure that my bid would be dealt with fairly when the council is bidding for its own contracts. But if I could just come to that point you raised there, which is you didn't want to take on any inappropriate risk, then you've got to have a clear margin when you bid for something, and you've got to then outcompete the private sphere. And I would argue that's in direct competition with our residents who also have businesses and would like those contracts. And the council has advantages of infrastructure, etc., which I don't believe are fully accounted for here. I don't believe enterprise services could be efficient to make real money for the council, but even if it could, that would be at the expense of our residents. And I think this is a whole department of government we should withdraw from. I don't think we should have enterprise services at all.
Comments are noted. Members, we're ready to move to the recommendations. Members are asked to note 2.1, and that is based on the first 4 months' expenditure. Enterprising trading services is currently projected to return a surplus of 749,000 against a budgeted surplus of 918, and that's detailed as in Appendix 1. While this reflects the current position, the service is continuing to maximise all opportunities to reduce the shortfall. Okay, and 2.2, that based on the first 4 months' expenditure, enterprising funded services is currently projected to an overspend of 73k, as has been detailed in Appendix 2 of the report. There's also another, just to actually note, also to take on board that we do hope to have a behind closed doors kind of session for members, and that's all members of the council. We'll look towards the head of service to providing some dates for that. Okay. And this is Enterprising DG Commercial Development Plan. At the Economy, Environment and Infrastructure Committee on the 14th of June 2016, the Enterprising DG Commercial Development Plan was approved. This plan is to be overseen by this subcommittee in relation to its business developments and opportunities. The Commercial Development Plan, which has now been in place for just over a year, remains robust. However, the plan has faced continued financial challenges and business demands during this relatively short period. Opportunities have been identified to build and refresh the commercial development plan, both for external and internal business, for our council's benefit. The ever-changing landscape requires a refocus and refresh of the commercial plan in line with prudent business processes that will clearly show who we are, not only outwardly, but inwardly across our council. And I think myself as chair and the vice chair, we've had a couple of discussions with the council, and we want to see the commercial development plan be a dynamic plan that actually can adjust and change going forward. Enterprise and services continue to develop in line with our council key priority, building the local economy, delivering success and new business opportunities for enterprise and DG. The report details the progress against the current commercial development plan and provides insight into the service developments and opportunities that have taken place. Following debate on this report, I would also like the opportunity to show members the promotional video that's been developed and was launched at the VIP evening, which was held on the 27th of June, which the chair of EEI and myself and John attended, and we thought that was a very valuable exercise, and also it got a chance to meet people within Enterprising DG, but also some of our customers and suppliers. Alan Mawson is the Facilities Service Operations Manager, and he's present to answer any members' questions on the report. But before that, I'll just ask the Head of Service if he has anything he wishes to add to the report.
Thank you, Chair. Before Alan takes us through the report, I think it's been a very dynamic year since with the launch of the Commercial Development Plan back in June 2016. And I think it's an appropriate time that we bring this to your good self and the new members of this subcommittee to allow engagement and allow this opportunity to refocus the Commercial Development Plan in line with the Council's aspirations. So I'm happy to allow Alan to take us through the report and take any questions.
Alan, over to you.
Through you, Chair, thanks very much. I think just briefly, I think it's been the speed of the first 12 months in the Commercial Development Plan have proved that we need to get back and refresh and refocus, and certainly some of the language around the Chamber this afternoon would suggest that that's definitely the right thing for us to be doing. I think the report lays out a lot of work that's already been embedded within the new PPI team and some key projects, developments within that. So I think as a brief overview of that, Chair, just happy to take questions.
Okay, over to members. Any questions? Chief?
Perhaps a bit different to Councillor James is that when you look at the 450 SMEs that Enterprising D&G actually employ to deliver some of their contracts, then you'll see it's a really important part of the council for the local economy and the constituents out there, especially those that have got small to medium enterprises. On top of that, of course, is this was the Commercial Development Plan that was agreed last year, and we did say we'd look at a review of it after a year, and I think it's right to actually look at that going forward. I think members need to understand that this is a department that starts with a zero budget and actually gets money in from the council and other people as well to actually employ people. So there's, over 1,000 people within Enterprising D&G that rely on those businesses coming forward and the council coming forward to keep them in a job as well. So I've got real concerns about Enterprising D&G being said to be not an integral part of the council. When you look at this type of thing, when you look at the amount of people it employs, when you look at the SME businesses that it employs within the plan it's got, then I think somewhere the Tories are out of sync.
Is there a question in there, Councillor Driver?
Are you happy with what's going on with the development plan?
Alan, are you happy with what's in the development plan?
I mean, I've made a few statements here, Alan, and I believe there's 450 SMEs that are employed through the business that we actually do. Is that correct, or have I been told something different?
I think, Chair, there's a few points there through yourself I think that it's worthwhile highlighting. I think first and foremost, I think for the sake of looking at a Commercial Development Plan is, a new concept trying to be delivered by predominantly a key frontline service delivery of the council, and first and foremost that's what we do. We deliver frontline services. The new strategy around that is that we've got a commercial entity around that to try and develop income that's got to support frontline services, and I think that's one of the key factors that's behind that, is that first and foremost we deliver frontline services. We've got, as Councillor Driver suggests, we've got over 1,000 employees that deliver that, and what we're trying to do is generate cash that will supplement that frontline service delivery to support that. The keys behind that is that if we're looking at it, we work through procurement for internal contracts, and internal contracts are proven by best value for the new procurement legislation that's come through for our internal procurement team, which is Schedule 5. So there's no grey area that we offer best value on that internally, and it's only the external contracts that it's been raised today that potentially are we utilising SMEs that are getting a fair bite at the cherry with that. Any external contracts that we put in for are open to market and are fair and equitable for any party to then apply for. The Schedule 5, back again, absolutely evidences, and that's what the internal procurement strategy now has been agreed at full council, has suggested that's what we need to go through. So we have scrutiny of that, and that proves best value within that. One of the other key points that needs to be raised, I think, Chair, is that all the services potentially looking at offer best value as far as insourcing is concerned, and that's through, whether it's through our day job of catering as an example, and I can utilise that, or whether it's through building maintenance. We try to work through economies of scale. So the staff that we've got, we are trying to embed commercial activity and strategy behind them, so that they actually work economies of scale, and we generate not just more money for the council to stop it bleeding out of the service, but also to multi-skill and upskill the staff that we've got. The staff that we've got are constituents as well, staff, Chair, and I think that should always be taken into account.
Councillor Dryburgh.
Thanks, Chair. I did ask a question in the previous about the printing unit and how it's actually moving along, and can we see opportunities of the future in that?
To yourself, Chair. Yeah, I think the print unit's been a challenging one for us coming in. We were at committee 3 times to try and get the strategy around the print unit, but certainly we can see growth within that, and I think the paper lays out one of the key developments that would highlight that for yourself, Councillor Dryburgh, is that we're looking at paper cut. So paper cut is a system that's already used in small scale in education that basically allows the software to be managed centrally, so we could manage printing from the print unit on large scale. What's happening at the moment, we've got everybody can basically make their own decision how much they want to print when the MDFs and multifunctional devices that's in schools or in offices, and it's not the best cost-effective way of doing that. The strategy and the pricing structure that we've put out to schools has seen an increase in business coming in. It started to raise the profile, and the marketing strategy that we're going to tie in with the whole EDG moving forward will hopefully expand on external business along with that as well. So I think the future is reasonably bright as far as printing can be. It's a dying trade as far as printing is concerned, but the strategy that we've put in place, I'm quite sure will offer sustainability around that print unit.
Other members? Councillor Nicholl.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. I would like a little bit more clarification on paper cut, but we'll come to that in a minute. No, just on 3.2, 1, 2, 3, the fourth bullet point down in 3.2 on page 9, to develop a market that currently does not contribute to the economy of our region. Could you explain that further to me, Alan? I'm just a wee bit confused with that.
Alan?
Yeah, Chair, that was one of the principles that was developed within the commercial development plan. So it was basically to develop markets that we've got at the moment, is to go outside the region and look at opportunities that we don't actually currently tie in, as I say, back into the new strategy. The old strategy it was all DG first, and we had to pretty much stay within the region and the markets that we had within that. It wasn't seen that we should be pushing across the boundaries of D&G. The principles behind the current development plan is that we can push beyond the boundaries of D&G and look at business out with that wouldn't impact would impact on us generating cash for external business from beyond them new markets that's out there. An example of that could be, as an example, cleaning. Should we be looking at Carlisle as an opportunity to develop our in-house cleaning service in there? It's closer than it is in the west of the region, so as an example, that would be a new market that we'd be looking at tapping into.
Come back, Graham.
He still hasn't told me about paper cut, but the other thing was, just give me a second. The other thing was, how do neighbouring authorities view the possibility of you invading their territory, so to speak?
Chair, through yourself. Yeah, it's not new, Chair. That's something that's been going on long term down south and across boundaries. We've got some authorities in England that's already opened up hotels in Edinburgh, as an example. It's seen as the normal business now. I think it's worthwhile stating that Dumfries and Galloway are first and foremost about leading that new boundaries of change in Scotland, and we can see a lot of authorities is utilising ourselves through ARPS's best practice in that, so it's about us staying above the game and moving forward with what's already seen as best practice south of the border. Paper cut, Chair. Paper cut is, as I say, we could probably pick up on it in more detail at a later stage, but basically it's a software package that allows us to collect the data of all printing from every device that gets printed. So it's not the detail of what gets printed, but the volume. Is it colour that you've printed? How much have you printed? Have you printed it correctly? And it allows the print unit as the corporate centre then to, for a better word, police printing across the region. That would allow us then to get the right multifunctional devices into units, or redirect, more importantly, costly printing that's getting done on unit site to the corporate print unit and get done more cost effectively.
Ronnie, you want to come in?
Chair, if I can, just adding to the comments that Alan has said about the cross-border. It works both ways. You know, we've had neighbouring authorities coming into our area and doing elements of work. We're also working in relation to collaboration, looking to what we can do with them, whether that's in a wholehearted partnership between ourselves and another neighbouring authority, but also looking at the skill sets of activity that they want within that particular area. They may not have that skill, therefore we will assist and go into and look at what can be done. I have to say, we look at that very carefully. It's on the basis of what can be done and is it appropriate that we go that extra mile. A recent one where we worked collaboratively with some of the Ayrshires doing surface dressing up in their area. They didn't have the equipment, they didn't have the resource to do it, so we came in and that was mutually beneficial to ourselves.
Malcolm?
Thank you, Chair. You've been quite informative, Alan, and it's quite good to have somebody that's obviously so passionate about his job. It's quite encouraging. I just get slightly concerned with this, that there's a wee bit of mission creep going on. You know, we've got this question here, or who we are. Well, I don't think we are Quick Fit. I don't think we are a sort of caravan site operator. I think we've got a lot of really good core skills, which I'm sure you guys do very well, and that's great. But I do have a nagging doubt that we're straying into territory that is maybe not quite suitable, and maybe things that aren't within our general core strengths.
Yep, I'll bring that in, but can I say as well, you know, it's one of the things that when you look through the commercial development plan, I think it's about, you know, there's a wide range of opportunities, but again, it's down to, you know, that's why business cases will have to be made for actually, you know, chasing this additional pieces of work and opportunity, etc. But at the same time as well, and it kind of echoes what Archie says, is that when you look at the commercial development plan, certainly I have and went through it, that, you know, there's a lot of merit in this. And I'd remind all members as well that it was all the councillors that agreed, you know, that we set up ENTERPRISINGDG. I mean, £17 million worth of, that's our starting point, from 17 million and 1,400 employees, and hoping to build on that. But there's, you know, over 450 to 500 local businesses that, you know, rely on that. And it's about actually working smarter and more efficiently. And it's really, I feel as though it's about time that the council started to operate in this way. So I really thought I just wanted to say that at this juncture as well. I think the commercial development plan does need a refresh, but the aims of that and, you know, of this council to do that, I think, you know, all members should support that. Alan?
Yeah, Chair, I think probably questions from the member there. I think mission creep probably concerns me slightly, but I'd like to put that in a positive spin if I could. I think that's why we're saying who we are. I think, you know, the clearly within the challenges that we've had over the first 12 months of the commercial development plan are being other parts of the council internally and other parts of private sector externally. Valid points made. I think I'm not quite sure what we're doing. And I think that what we're trying to do with the new refresh and refocus is clearly define the lines with this committee around what the expectations are that you see what we should be doing, what we will be doing, and where the boundary lines are. And I think that obviously the commercial development plan will get signed off through this committee, and we're going to be looking at some workshops with the full committee on how we're going to actually scrutinise that. But I think the mission creep are probably, from my position, is unjustified in the fact that I think we've got a clear direction in our head what we need to do, but we need to make that clear to everybody else. And I think one of the marketing strategies that we're tapping in this year is Did You Know? So it's about when we've launched the VIP night of Did You Know, the council already do a multitude of services that actually should be available to the public for the right price and best value that they've got in the back of that. I think one of the points that get missed, the Chair, is that a lot of contractors, especially within the construction side, wouldn't get a sniff at the business because they wouldn't be able to utilise a multitude of small businesses to get a contract. That should be seen as a positive. We're actually we can win the contracts and utilised £17 million went into small and medium enterprise, not last year, the year before, around the DG First moving into enterprise and services. I don't think this committee or the council would want to take the risk of that losing, because the economic development impact on that would be monumental. So I think what I'm saying is Chair, through yourself, is I think I agree with some of the statements it's made, and I think the clarity around the refocusing and the refreshing, and with yourself, Chair, and you, Chair, on there, some ownership of the committee around about who we are, and did you know, I think will remove any worries about mission creep and give us a clear direction.
Yeah, thanks for that, Alan. Certainly, from my initial first 3 or 4 months, I think probably there's maybe a bigger challenge actually internally within the council to fully understand the mission of Enterprise and DG. Certainly when I was at the VIP night, a lot of the local suppliers and people that we subcontract, they fully get behind that and support that. And I've been in the council for 19 years, and years, the complaint was from local businesses, SMEs, was that how can they get into the council to actually start earning some, and this is an avenue of doing that. It's breaking down barriers. Used to have to be a large business, with ISOs 9001, etc., to actually get on the list. This is an opportunity where we can actually work in partnership, but also at the same time provide better services by the council and to the council. Make a profit. Councillor James.
Thank you again. Did you know, well, I don't think any of us here knew there was a VIP night, but I hope you enjoyed it. The council's role is to facilitate the provision of core services. That's what our people want us to do. They don't want us working in Carlisle or expanding into a business empire. And I think given some of the fiascos in the past, there's maybe unfairly a lack of confidence out there. And I just don't think people want that. It's not just me. I don't think this is what the voters want at all.
Yeah, Chair, through yourself, I think the new committee on the moving forward, I think it's the perfect time for the refresh and refocus so we can get buy-in for the total committee on the vision moving forward. But I think the key point behind that is that if you look at any authority that's looking at commercialisation, the key is to bring in a surplus or a profit to protect frontline services, Chair, and I think that's the key point that's been missed.
Members agree 2.1 to receive a refocused and refreshed commercial development plan detailing external and internal strategy of who we are, as at paragraph 3.5. Agreed. Do you want to record your dissent, or do you want to put an alternative to that?
May I put an alternative?
Sorry?
May I put an alternative?
It's totally up to you.
I probably won't get a second trip for it, but I think enterprise services should be discontinued. I don't believe it in principle. I don't think the public do either.
I'll have to ask if that.
That would not be a competent motion. That would be a matter for council.
Dissent. Thanks.
Dissent. Yeah.
Thank you.
(2.2) Note key developments and updates detailed at paragraphs 4.1 to 4.20. Yep. And 2.3, agree to receive future commercial and development projects as noted at paragraph 5. Good. We'll just, as I said at the start, we'll just show a marketing video now. But just if there's anyone who has feedback on that, or anyone's been converted.
Yeah, it was quite Soviet Union style, as is this proposal to expand and take over everything for the state. This is a socialist policy here, and I can't support it. And I think the last election shows that most of our electorate can't either.
Thanks for that comment. I will note that. I will note as well that it wasn't just socialists it was the whole council that agreed to move towards enterprising DG. I'm sure your colleagues that were there at the time will remember that as well. Councillor Nicholl?
I plead guilty to that one. I'm the only one from this group that was on the original. Yeah, the video, I've got three questions. Was it done internally or externally? How much did it cost? And how many people have looked at it?
Alan?
Yep. First answer to first question, no, it wasn't done internally because the capacity wasn't there within the team to take it on. Second question, how much did it cost? We'd have to feed that, we're not to make that number up, Chair. We'd need to feed that back if possible. We can confirm that because it certainly wasn't a ridiculous price. And thirdly, sorry, question. Yeah, how many will look? That's been launched as part of the marketing strategy that goes live in November. That links in with the website that we did develop with in-house web team. So that'll be getting, we'll be able to crunch them numbers once we've worked with the web team on how many hits we've had on the website, and also we'll be making sure that we get the statistics based on the new marketing strategy, how many hits we're getting that. So we'll be able to feed that back to the committee chair as we start to get that information.
Okay, thanks very much for that. I think within the commercial development plan as well, there is a need to actually look at them internally as well, the websites, etc., and how we promote that. So thanks for that, and thanks for showing that video, and thanks, Councillor James, for giving me that compliment of calling me a socialist. I've told Councillor Charteris that as well.
Chair, I'm just wondering how his training's going with Colonel Charteris.
Okay, moving on. Item 5, any other business deemed urgent by the Chair due to the need for a decision? Yeah, I've got a couple of not that require a decision, but obviously a couple of notifications. The first is with regard to, I'm very pleased to announce that we have 3 apprentices representing enterprise and services and our council at this year's Association of Public Services Excellence APSI National Housing and Building Awards final. The first is Christopher Jardine. He's an apprentice electrician. He's in his first year based at Dumfries. We also have Ryan Love. He's an apprentice joiner. He's in his 4th year based at Stranraer. And we finally have David Henderson. He's an apprentice joiner, 3rd year based at Stranraer also. As I said, the awards are being held in Liverpool on the 5th of October, and I hope that you would all wish me and join me in wishing them every success at these awards. I certainly know from personal experience, developing future stars of the future has been and is a real passion within G&G Enterprising, and you know, Ronnie and the rest of the team actually take pride in the amount of apprentices that you take through. And I would like members to recognise these 3 rising stars for reaching the finals of the 2017 awards. And hopefully, when they come back, it would be nice at the next meeting maybe for the lads to come along and hopefully show off their awards. The second announcement I've got is with regards to our own rising star as well, which is Councillor Archie Dryborough, who is now the national chair for 1 year for his sins of APSI, and he's also the Scottish vice chair, which he will serve for 5 long years. And also not forgetting Ronnie, who is the national secretary for APSI. So Archie took up the chair at the APSI National Conference in Oxford back in September. And Archie, do you want to say anything about what APSI does, or just about the role that you will be doing over the next year?
I think I was honoured and privileged to be supported by APSI Scotland to go and take the chair. It goes round the country, and this year it was Scotland's turn. So I was honoured to be given that chair. I've only been involved with the organisation for something like 16 months. I think the good thing is it's a networking, benchmarking, supportive research organisation, which is far different, I believe, to the improvement service, which costs the Scottish Government something like £5 million for improvement service, whereas this costs next to nothing. It's 25,000 members, 250 local councils are members of it, and it's a great organisation. When you get things like the APSI Awards for the Apprentice of the Year, that is something really good that they can take forward. The good thing is with Ronnie as my secretary is at Dumfries and Galloway is now on the APSI map, and I would invite members to go along to APSI conferences if they get the chance to do so, because it's about sharing of the practices that those individual councils are doing, and we can see in some cases where costs to the council are reduced by such an effort by doing things slightly different that you can actually improve your benefit of doing that particular service. So I'm pleased to be the chair of UK for the year and vice chair for Scotland for the 5 year.
Thanks for that, Archie. You're getting near to a Jimmy Dempster moment there, but they took a couple of minutes. Item 6 is to consider adoption of resolution to exclude the public from the meeting in terms of section 50A 4 and paragraph 6, 9 and 10 of part 1 of schedule 7A of the Local Government Scotland Act 1973. Agreed?